What is that?
It's a bomb.
And you leave it lying around?
I was gonna put it in a box.
What's a box gonna do?
You just want to suck the joy out of everything.
Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my theological analysis of Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1, which I'm sure will now be known as, with Volume 2 just around the corner! I am so excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. How excited are you? Make sure you let me know in the comments. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not just one of my favorite movies in the MCU, it's just one of my favorite movies. The movie was just so fantastic, and I think there's so many reasons why this movie speaks to all of us. I mean, number one, you can't argue that the acting was great, especially that core cast are 5 main actors, like their chemistry and everything, it just works so well. You can just feel the chemistry in that group. It worked. James Gunn, the director, his direction, the tone and feel of this movie, it just works so well. You have the writing was so good, the humor was so good. I mean, so many things about this movie was done so well that no wonder we love this movie. But I think there are deeper themes in the movie that really do reach out to us and speak to us, and things that we relate to so well. And I think one of those things that we relate to so well is really what this is. It's a story of the underdog.
Underdog is here.
And we love underdog stories, watching the underdog win, watching the underdog come out on top. Those kind of stories truly speak to us. And I think one of the reasons those stories speak to us is because of this right here. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to shame the things which are strong. And I think because of how we are created and how we are made, that truth is innately in us. And I think that's one reason that we love the story of the underdog. But this story goes a little bit deeper than just your typical underdog story. I mean, when you look at this movie, you have a great evil that has risen up. You have Thanos, who is now going for the Infinity Stones. But you also have Ronan the Accuser. And so when he finds out that Thanos is after an Infinity Stone, and specifically, it's the Power Stone he's after here, he wants that stone so he can just lay down planets, like lay them low like winter wheat, and just completely destroy them and assert his power and his dominance. I mean, that is sheer evil at work there, with no respect for life except for himself. But what rises up at such a time as this?
The thief, 2 thugs, a murderer, and a maniac?
So you got these characters that in some way, I mean, they're hurt, they're broken, and they're twisted. They are twisted and kind of used by others for those others' own purposes. So you have these characters that are utterly imperfect, that have made bad and terrible decisions, but all of a sudden are used by fate in this moment, brought together at just the right time and in just the right places to get a hold of this Infinity Stone and to be the very ones that become the Guardians of the Galaxy and defeat Ronan the Accuser. Like, it's an incredible story of hope, really, that these hurt, twisted, and broken characters are called upon at just the right moment. And I think one of the most relatable things in this movie is where Star-Lord himself says to the whole group, we're all a bunch of losers. In other words, we lost stuff. Life has taken so much. I mean, when you look at Chris Pratt's character, Star-Lord, this is a character that's hurt, that's broken because of his mom's death, that is facing some fear that he finally faces down at the end, probably even facing the shame of the fact that his mom is dying and he never took her hand. Can you imagine the regret that he lived with all his life growing up, maybe feeling like he never measured up because he couldn't even hold his own mom's hand while she was dying? Can you imagine the pain that he's feeling? And yet fate is calling on him for this great purpose. He probably feels unworthy of it, but he's being called upon. He's being called for something good. I mean, you have Drax, who let himself be consumed by hate. And he even talks about it in the movie, how he let that hate take him over. I mean, his wife and his daughter were killed in front of him, and vengeance became the goal of his life, and it utterly consumed him. You have Gamora, again, twisted and abused by Thanos and raised by that guy. You have Rocket, who I'm sure, being a science experiment, was experimented upon. How did he get away? Did he escape? Was he discarded? Either way, you could tell in the one scene in the bar that he does feel like some sort of thing.
Well, I didn't ask to get made. I didn't ask to be torn apart and put back together over and over and turned into some little monster.
And he doesn't want to be known as a vermin or just some little thing, and so he acts big to make up for how he really feels inside. But here comes fate at just the right time to call upon them for something good. These people that wouldn't even expect it of themselves to be used for something this good. And I feel like that touches on a hope that we all have. And I think it's a hope that exists in us because there is that theological truth that we are loved by God. No matter how hurt we are, no matter how much shame we feel, no matter how many bad choices we made, no matter what mistakes exist in our lives, no matter what brokenness is there, there's an unconditional love that comes from God. And God looks at us in all that brokenness and says, I know the plans that I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. I mean, when you go into it and all this love and all this compassion and this calling on us who are hurt and broken. My gosh, man, I'm not perfect. I'm broken. It's amazing to me how God uses me in life to let his good come through and make a difference. And I think that's a theological truth that this movie touches on. And it's another reason that we relate to it so much. We love the story of the underdog for sure. But when you really look at this movie, the way everything comes together so perfectly in the Marvel Universe, I'm sure that it's explained by fate. But the idea that fate would call these people of all people and not Kal-El of Krypton but these people, it would call them and use them. I think it touches on that hope that we all have, that desire that we all have to have that second chance, to have that brokenness fixed in us, that reality that God can do that, and God does call us, and God does have good plans for us no matter where we are in life. I mean, for me especially, it's one of those theological truths that Guardians of the Galaxy touches on. So, what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy? In this theological analysis, what kind of things speak to you in Guardians of the Galaxy that makes it relatable to you? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Next to that subscribe button is that little bell. When you click that bell, you'll be notified the moment I drop new videos. I'd love to have you as a Durbanian, so like and share this video. I'm Durbin. Thank you for checking out Durbania.